Welcome to the Play Bala. I am super excited to have with us today Karissma Yve. Karissma is the founder and CEO of Gildform, the only all-in-one, on-demand design and manufacturing platform for hard goods at large, jewelry, fashion hardware, home decor, and more. She's redefining how products get made, turning ideas into market-ready pieces in as little as a week with end-to-end design, production, and fulfillment. Under Karissma's leadership, Gildform has grown from a bold concept to an award-winning platform powering creators, emerging brands, and global enterprises. Her team's collaborations span Marvel and Universal Music Group, creating jewelry for the Academy Award-winning Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, costumes and pieces for Billie Eilish, while the platform expands the same AI-driven speed and quality to hardware and home. Backed by Pharrell Williams Black Ambition, Techstars, and True Ventures, Karissma is a Forbes 30 Under 30 honoree for her work in manufacturing and industry and a trailblazer in turning ideas into a reality. Her mission is clear: democratize product creation by fusing AI, craft, advanced manufacturing, creativity, and inclusive access. Gildform, her company, is an all-in-one AI-powered on-demand design and manufacturing platform that enables brands and creators to go from concept to finished product with design, production, and fulfillment all in one place. Starting with just an idea, Gildform empowers businesses to launch collections, scale production, and grow their brands seamlessly. Karissma, welcome.
Thank you.
I am so excited to have you today. All the way from Detroit, Michigan. Mm-hmm. What was the trip like? Like, are you new to New York? Is this your home away from home?
Yeah.
What kind of vibe is New York giving you right now?
I love New York. I think that New York is definitely one of the most frequent places that I visit for work. And so it's an easy flight from Detroit. It's actually one of my favorite flights. Mm-hmm. And so I love coming to New York. I always, when I'm traveling, I always like to kind of put myself into the environment that I'm in. Mm-hmm. And I always ask myself, could I live here? You know? And I was like, no, not right now.
A little too much, maybe.
A little too much. But then I was like, okay, but why? And I come here a lot. And I think every time I come here, I ask myself, could I live here now? Mm-hmm. Could I live here now? Just for fun, right? Just for play. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I have too many books. I don't know where everything would go.
It's a little bit of your play city, but then like Detroit's like your home.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Well, I'd love to jump right in. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I've had the opportunity to really reflect and think a lot about how play and playfulness shows up in our lives, our environments, in culture. You know, for me, as I think about play, it reminds me of so many different things. I think of religion. I think of, you know, the male and female aspects. Like in Hinduism, you have Shiva and Shakti. Mm-hmm. I think of yin and yang, the left and right, this kind of play in the cosmos, but also like just kind of normal. I think about kids playing in the playground. I think about game nights at the dinner table. I also think about adults romping in the bedroom, but I also think about parents spending careful time thinking about how to raise their children. Mm-hmm. And that requires being meticulous and playful and honorable, but very, I guess, targeted in their decisions. I also think about us as adults really just kind of embracing and moving seamlessly, but failing and losing and getting acclaim and finding success and so many things. That's what I think. What do you think about play?
I think play, all of those things. I think that like we as human beings are on this journey. And the journey that we're on, I think requires us to kind of like experience all of the things, everything in between, the ups, the downs, the curiosities, the ability to create. And so when I think of play, I think of creativity. I think of creation. I think of experimentation. I think of really putting myself in different realities. I think about creating my realities, like kind of similarly to that question of like, could I live here? Could I see myself here? I think it's about really like building worlds and experiencing them in all different forms. And I mean, we could talk about play for days, and I hope to do that.
Yeah. But then you said something so beautifully. Realities, not with singular reality, but multiple realities. Like, what is that what I'm hearing you say a little bit? Like you can play and have these multiple or two different realities?
Yeah, there's a multiplicity, I think, when it comes to world building. And the world building aspect for me is a form of play. It's a form of me being kind of inserting myself into an identity or an experience that I want to be in. Right. And that could change. And I think it should change over time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about like you stepping into this entrepreneurial aspect, reality of yourself. Is this something that you feel was innate? You know, where you feel like when you stepped into this world, it was something that you were kind of called to do, a duty. Is this something that was cultivated over time? Where did this come from?
I have always been like an entrepreneurial person. I've always been a creative, and I've always been this person that I'm like, how can I turn this into an offering, into a service? And so 100%, it definitely feels like I've been called to do this. There's the saying that God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. And I think in that experience, that calling of being able to kind of tap into the entrepreneurship, into creativity, into tech, into all the things, I've been qualified. I am being qualified as a person, the more and more that I create and build.
You said God. I was raised as a Christian in my family. Now I have more syncretic beliefs. You heard me talk about Hinduism, but I draw from Buddhism. I draw from Islam. I draw from so many different beliefs. Does God play an active role in your life?
Absolutely. I think that there is this like aspect of a co-creation. I love that. And I study all different types of religions and spirituality. And one of the things that really kind of stuck with me is that we're created in the image of God. And so in my own curiosity, I would ask myself, okay, well, if I'm created in the image of God and it's about creation, how do I tap into that?
Right.
And so I always like to think of myself as I'm like, how can I be, God's essentially ultimate creation,
Ooh, I love
right?
that.
Like if I think of myself as a canvas, if I think of my life as a canvas, and God is the painter, like I want God to be like, oh, I did that.
I
did that, and I think that it's a fun sort of experience or like thought sort of, it's essentially for me, it's a way for me to kind of experience and experiment with that idea of essentially becoming the best version of myself.
I love that because it's almost as if you place the expectations on yourself, but also God is giving you the power to think about yourself in any way, shape, or form because you are in that form's image, which is so powerful. Like you step into God, you become God, but also you are sharing this reality with me. We're co-creating this reality together. I really deeply resonate with that. One, where do you think that came from, that thinking? And two, your upbringing. You said you're from Detroit, Michigan. We talked a little bit about you coming into New York. Like, what was your upbringing like? Was it very focused on God? Were there influences around you that talked a lot about creation, co-creation? Did you see some of that creativity in your neighborhood? Like, what was some of the community elements like? Like, what was around you?
Where did it come from? So it came from, I read a lot. I still read a lot. And I think that for me, it was just my own like discovery and my own curiosity that made me want to dig into different stories and different eras and different times and places and spaces. And in terms of like my upbringing, I would say that my family is very like spiritual, but it was really through the act. It was really through the act of creating that I saw it firsthand. I was able to experience it firsthand. So, I would, ever since I could remember, I was very young. I could remember, like, my mom, she always wanted to live in a space, even though we're in Detroit, we're surrounded at that time, surrounded by poverty and blight. The home was always a sacred space. And so she would create our own world inside of our home. And that was truly the sacred space for us. And so I think having limited access to resources and not like being able to afford hiring a contractor or whatever the case is, I saw my mom like cutting tile, laying the tile, grouting the tile, like
How did you
building,
learn all this?
Self-taught, just doing. And I think that, again, kind of going back to that, like, God doesn't call the qualified, qualifies the called. And so that being said, it's like, I think I seen her do it. I think I seen her mess up, and I think I seen her do it again and get it right. And that was like on repeat, all the way to like, she installing countertops and, doing bathroom floors. And she's like, I'll do anything except for electrical. That's when we called in for help.
Probably smart, right?
She's like, try to figure it out. And I seen that. And so for me, it was like, oh, it's easy for me to, it was accessible. I didn't really see an easy path, but I saw accessibility. I saw that if you continue to, you can start something, but then also if you like push through, and if you continue, even if you do fail or mess up or, you're cutting the tile and it cracks, you figure out a different technique or a method. And for me, I saw that resilience sort of baked into the home. And I think that's something that I've definitely carried with me.
First of all, I love that your mom is like, you know what? We need new tile. I'm buying grout. I'm getting all the things
wet saw.
Wet saw. I'm going to start cutting it. Like the fact that she taught herself those things and did them. And then I think what's really powerful is that you're watching, because children watch everything, right? That must have been a really powerful experience for you, because maybe in a lot of ways, you knew what you were watching, but in maybe some ways you didn't know, because it wasn't about running a business or creating impact in the world. It was like, I need to take care of the most important thing around me, my home. And it seems like you absorbed that so deeply.
Yeah. Not just watching, but also like helping when she's like, hand me that towel.
Oh, so she recruited you to do the work.
Exactly. Whereas like, hand me that towel. And then also too, I think, me as a child, I was naturally and still am like super hands-on, super curious. And I'm like, can I help? And so that's when, I would help. And I think from there, it was just fun. And I think at that point I was like, oh, okay, like this is something that anybody can do.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about the neighborhood and the circumstance around you. You use the words poverty and blight. But when I hear you talk, I don't hear that. I hear light. I hear love and creativity and dedication to the home and creating an environment for my daughter, my family that's around me. How did you start to rise out of that? Because in many ways, and I shared with you, like I also come from a very tough circumstance in Brooklyn, New York. And Flatbush was not necessarily the most fun. I'll leave it there. And so there are ways that you have to create tactics for yourself to kind of navigate those environments. So it sounds like you had a lot of really great things happening at home, but then you step outside and see some of the realities of the world. How are you able to start to navigate some of those things? And then I'm sure there were some paths created for you as you started to discover what you were set here to do. Like, how did all that start to come together and coagulate for you?
Yeah. I would say like the upbringing was tough, right? Sometimes in the home and out the home. I think all of those things when you think about like external circumstances, those circumstances can then sometimes be latched onto a person, right? You start to carry them. Where it's like, okay, the body keeps the score. And then there's also like, so many things. We can go on for days about it. But I think the biggest takeaway for me when we think about light is that I created that for myself when it comes to being the light. It was a conscious decision. It wasn't necessarily one thing that I did or another thing that I did. It was a conscious decision of like, this is the life that I want for myself. First, I had to imagine it. I had to design it in my mind. What type of life do I want to live? And then I had to embody that. Like, what type of person do I want to be? If this is about like being a light being, what does that look like? Who do I need to be, and what do I need to surround myself with? Who do I need to surround myself with to achieve that sort of like light? And how do I like share this light and give this light to those that are around me? And I think so. It's the conscious decision that world building, like creation of like one's reality. But it was also like seeing the good. Right. Yes. No matter what the circumstances are, I think I'm able to see an opportunity and an obstacle.
Yes.
And so, yeah, like it was hard, you know, but also it was like, okay, how do I turn this hard into something that is not something that is going to hold me back, but into something that would propel me forward and not let that be the thing that holds me back.
I love that, because you talked about what I'm hearing is a bit of creative visualization, you imagining and designing a world. Can you share what that means for you? I'm so deeply curious.
Yeah. I actually want to tell you a story. I went, so when I was in third grade, take you all the way back. When I was in third grade, my friends and I were really into like writing. We're different, okay? And at this point I was into like writing. I wrote this story. It was a thriller.
Okay.
And
third grade.
Okay. And this was like Freddie versus Jason sort of time era. It was like third or fourth grade. But we were all like, ooh, who can write the best story? And I was like, okay, I'm going to win. You know, I was super competitive, and I was like, I got to write the best story. And I wrote the story, and I realized as I was writing the story, I like started to see it vividly. I think also it was like, oh, okay, I have some good, as a young person, had some good writing skills. But I realized that this story was so my ability to actually like imagine it. I was like, oh, this is so cool. So then I started writing other stories.
You were having fun.
I was having so much fun. I was doing all types of writing. And then I was like, and I think when I saw that, like, you know, started writing these stories, I started to like actually start to see like moving pictures in my mind of the stories that I was creating. And then at first I was like, the thriller stuff, that scared me. I was like, I'm not doing that. I was like, y'all win.
Right. You got it.
Y'all win. That's on you. But then I was like, okay, this is not my type of story, friends. I'm going to get into some other like stories, because when I started to imagine it, I was like, let me see what I could do with this imagination. Let me see what I could do with this like creativity. And I started to write my life, like as if it were a script, as if it were a movie. And then I started to insert myself, like as I was writing, I started to embody with possibility. I started to create possibilities. I started to put myself in rooms that I would have never thought that I could be in. And then one thing led to another, and I actually like created that reality for myself. I think it was that exercise, that creativity, that play.
Yes.
Of like, oh, I can actually like put myself there, like in my mind.
Yeah.
But then I can take it the next step and embody the person that I need to become to be my highest version of myself.
It's like almost like you're downloading something, right? There's like this moving camera, this image or images that are in your mind, and you said, I want to extract it from within and take it outside, or as they say, as above, so below. Like, how do you bring those things that are intangible to make them very tangible? I think it's really beautiful that you've been able to do this from a very young age.
Yeah.
Like, so powerful.
Yeah.
Being a designer, being an entrepreneur, it's evident to me how that started to happen. But I'd love for you to share for all of us, when that particular phase started to happen, because you were already starting to design your life. You were writing stories, you're telling stories, you're writing your life. So you're starting to put things out into the world and also shaping your own personality, the existence that you wanted to step into. But more specifically, the design piece of your work, the entrepreneurial aspect. Like when I think of an entrepreneur, it's like someone that can take one thing, make it another thing, and figure out a way to monetize it. So I'd love to hear a little bit of that.
So I started started creating products, metal hard goods. The first thing that I made was a button.
Okay.
And I was 14 years old.
Why a button?
Why a button? So I thought so I was experimenting. I was like, I want to be a fashion designer. I want to make clothes. And so I actually started taking an online course. Again, I was 14. So this was well before online courses were a thing.
Okay.
And so I probably was an early adopter of online learning. But I took a course and I was learning pattern making from a Japanese pattern maker. And I made this blazer, and it was a stunning blazer. And I was like, okay, this blazer needs buttons, but not just any button. I needed to be sterling silver. I wanted to have my fingerprints on it.
Yeah.
I had a vision for it. And I was like, okay, well, how do I go and make these buttons? And so I went to kind of explore that.
Yeah.
Who do I need to talk to? And then I figured out, I was like, okay, maybe I should talk to like a jeweler or, something like that. And I think a lot of them were like, hey, little girl, what are you doing? Like, this is weird. Get out of here. Scram.
Right.
And so at that point, I realized, okay, I'm gonna have to figure this out on my own. So I went to one of my favorite places, which was the library.
Okay.
And I started to learn really learn the art of like metalsmithing, of casting. And I went and was like, okay, I want to set up a little casting operation in my basement.
First of all, let's pause on that for a second. That's not something that most people would gravitate towards, metal work and casting. So I just wanted to just call that out. It's very particular.
Yeah, it's not a common thing. But that's why I was like, okay, let me figure it. It's very niche. And so I learned, figured it out. And this was through a lot of uncovering things through different manuals and different books in the library. And so I went to my parents and was like, I'm going to set up this little operation in the basement. Mom was like, sure you are. If you figure out how to do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Which was like, okay, what do I need? What type of equipment do I need? What type of setup do I need?
Yeah.
And I got, I realized, okay, I'm gonna need some money for this. So I got a job after school. And then I got another job after school. So I was working. I think that's one thing about me is that work ethic was instilled at a very young age.
Yes.
And so then from there, I was like, okay, I got the money. I got the stuff that I need. So I got me set up a casting little setup in the basement. And then I made a button. And I made another one. And then I was like, ooh, I want to make some jewelry. But not just any jewelry. I'm going to keep the same technique and the same method. I was like, I'm not doing the beading and the wire wrapping, what I seen, the people my age doing at that time. I was like, oh, I'm going to do some silver.
Okay.
Do some gold. And
Take that.
I'm going to do that. And then I was like, ooh, this is it.
How did it feel?
It felt incredible. It was one of the most magical feelings of like having an idea in your mind.
Yeah.
And then being able to realize it in physical form. Like,
because you saw the button.
I saw it in my mind. It was in my mind's eye. And I was like, how do I make this real? And I took the steps to make it real. And that was, I'm like, oh, this is what I think in that basement, again, I was very young, and I do think that was like, I think an advanced sort of like technique to learn, but also it was a mindset that I was able to tap into. It was also an understanding. And that understanding was that ideas are the most important thing known to humanity. Like, ideas are the reason that you and I are here today. And I think ideas are going to push the world forward. Ideas are going to help us evolve as human beings. And I think the process of making ideas real is hard, and for me, I was like, well, how do I make this easier? How do I continue to like bring my ideas into reality. And so, yes, I made jewelry, I made buttons in his basement, but what I really made was this like pathway and this understanding that you can literally have an idea that's like intangible that lives in your mind, and you can make it real. Going from this something that's intangible to something that is physical that you can hold in your hand and that you can share, and that form of self-expression. And so, yes, I learned that craft of metalsmithing and metalworking, but also I learned this, like, I think this our superpower. I learned my superpower. And then from there, I kept doing that. I kept documenting. So then I put like my writing back into the work. So I had my writings and I was like blogging and documenting my process. Very, early on.
Exploring.
I was exploring.
Yeah.
I was experimenting and just showcasing the process. And then one thing led to another. A fashion buyer saw my work and invited me to Paris Fashion Week. And then I went to Paris and I did that, at 18 years old, and was showcasing collections during Paris Fashion Week. And then the jewelry was sold in 15 different countries. So it really started to like compound once I got into that like understanding of like ideas and my ability to turn these ideas into reality through vision, design, and then execution.
I mean, Karissma, that's so powerful. It was an idea, let me make a button, not let me go to Paris Fashion Week, right? It's really powerful. But also, I'd love to just spend a few moments on something that you said, that ideas are the most powerful thing that we have. Why do you think that many people don't tap into this power of ideas? Or they have their ideas, but they might say, that's foolish, or I don't have the resources, or it's not the right time, or I don't have the right circumstance, or fill in the blank, fill in the blank, fill in the blank. There's a number of different reasons why we might not activate idea, probably very valid in a lot of ways. But I always find that the entrepreneur is a little bit of a push through the soil to become a tree sort of thing. But like, why do you think, in your opinion, from your point of view, why do you think people don't activate on their ideas?
I think it's hard. I think it's hard to tap into this idea of play, right? We have so many circumstances that get in our way of that. It's like, I got to work, I got to pay bills, I got to do this, I got to do that. And it's like everything that comes before that, right? Like, and then I think there's self-doubt that people struggle with. Are my ideas worth it? Are my ideas worthy? Do people care about my ideas?
Right.
Should I explore those ideas? Those are all valid questions, I think, and I understand that. And my answer to that is like, yes, your ideas are worthy, worth exploring and experimenting with, even if it has no outcome.
Right.
I think that's one of the things too, when it comes to like self-expression. One of my other favorite places to visit is the DIA, the Detroit Institute of Arts in Detroit.
Okay.
And it is one of my favorite museums. And when I go into that museum, I've seen so many ideas of like creation. These are moments in time, moments of expressions that define eras, that define movements, that define so much. And I think about that, like, I wonder who was that person that like fought through that struggle of like creation or idea, or maybe they didn't have a struggle, it was just natural for them.
Maybe.
Like, who created that thing? And so I think of us like as creators. I think of us as like, we have this ability to express our humanity, and it can be at a single point in time, right? Like, who am I now? And then the who am I now is like, what am I listening to? What are my like favorite foods right now? What am I doing? Who am I being?
What am I experiencing?
What am I experiencing? All those things. And it's like, how can I express that and capture this moment in time and share that with others? And I think that's a beautiful thing that brings us back to our humanity. And I think I think it's one of those things that's needed now more than ever. And I think that also, just the fact that it's hard, like the actual process of creating, like going from vision to execution, traditionally, like it's hard. And so that's why I set on this path to build this ultimate all-in-one platform that helps people go from that vision to a physical product that's in their hand and ultimately to their customers. And that's something that has like always been like a passion of mine.
Let's talk exactly about that.
Mm-hmm.
Gildform,
Mm-hmm.
right? What is it? Where did it come from? I'm so curious about all these things because I often think about someone that often comes up in my research. His name is Johan Huizinga.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, his research talks a lot about how play predates culture itself. And I would sit with that. I'm just like, well, before you have all of the expressions of culture, the great restaurants, the smooth roads, the good things, the bad things, the great ideas, the businesses, you have this experimentation that's happening, this seeing what works, what doesn't, bringing this idea forward and that idea forward. And so eventually it becomes something that is moldable and shapeable, and it become a culture of some sort, a community of some
Mm-hmm.
sort, right? Something that's impactful. And so again, back to Gildform. Where did this come from? How do you look at it as something that is not only one, impacting culture and community around you, and two, like what does it do? What is it designed to do?
Yeah. So Gildform is the world's first and only all-in-one on-demand design and manufacturing platform. So we're helping creators, the small startups to emerging to large enterprise companies, turn their ideas into reality. And we started with jewelry. We've expanded into other hard goods like collectibles, fashion hardware, and home decor. And so the way that it works is creators come to us with an idea, literally in the form of a sketch or a reference image, or they can type in their idea using our AI tool and turn that idea into essentially that design. So we're going from in the mind to something that's like tangible that other people can see. And then from there, they hire from a global network of CAD designers. These computer-aided designers are like proficient and experts in design for manufacturing. So like you can design something, but the question is, can you make it? And so our CAD designers focus on creating designs that are optimized for the manufacturing process, because that's what we're here to do, is to create that idea into a physical form. And so from there, once the design is approved on our platform, they literally click produce. They begin the production process by choosing different materials, finishes, assembly options, you name it. The cool thing about that is they're getting instant pricing to the metals market, a real-time visual rendering of what that product would look like. And essentially, they have no minimums across the platforms, access to super quick lead times. And then we help them get it to market in two different ways. So one is we load their product directly into their e-commerce platform, like Shopify, for example, where their customers can immediately purchase. So when the end customer places the order, we receive the order, we produce it, we pack it, and we ship it directly to the end customer. And then they also can place orders to sell in any way they choose. So essentially, it's this all-in-one platform that's helping creators bring their ideas into reality, primarily in the hard good category.
Well, it's unbelievably cool that you're essentially this factory that says, bring your idea, we'll bring it to life.
Yeah.
That's so powerful.
Yeah. It's like the technology layer with the platform, as well as the manufacturing. So we are doing the manufacturing in our Detroit-based factory, where we leverage 3D printing, robotics, automation, and also like some incredible artisans that are doing that like hand-touched, detailed work to bring the products to life. So it's a really, I think, an important part of the process in turning ideas into reality. And so with Gildform, we invented this full system for creating these custom products, starting from just an idea.
How did you get there? Like, was this, I'm going to make buttons and then now I'm going to make
tech platform.
Gildform, right? Like there are some things that I'm like, wait, how did she go from like, the real handwork of like metalwork around buttons, and then now you're using AI and technology and filling some other gaps here. Like, walk me through that.
Yeah. So it did start with a button. I think everything leads to...
It all started with a button.
It all started with that button. So honestly, it started there, and then I built my brand.
Yeah.
And then my brand, I was creating products that were essentially forms of expression, but the products were inspired by the essentially like curiosities of the future, as well as the ancient world. And so I had a very like focused type of world that I wanted to create with my brand. And with that, I started to create other types of products as well. But essentially, as I was going through this process of creating my own products, I was like, wow, like I really want to be able to focus on like the idea part. I want to be able to focus on my zone of genius. And I was spending a lot of time like on the bench, like doing the polishing, doing the casting. I had people helping, but ultimately I was spending too much of my time there. And I asked myself, what would the world look like if me as the creator, if I were able to just like start with the idea and then get support on the execution part, get support on actually the design for manufacturing so that I can focus on the things that like only I can do. No one can live inside of my mind and my body and experience the experiences that I'm experiencing. Like only I can do that.
Right.
And so it's like, how can I just focus on that part?
The zone of genius.
The zone of genius.
I love that. I'm taking that, by the way.
I'm like, how can I focus on that? And I think from there, that's when I started to experiment. And I was like, okay, well, first thing, let me find a manufacturer. And then when I went to traditional manufacturers, I was like, oh, this isn't going to work. Like the process is super disjointed. Like the CAD designers are not with the manufacturers, or even the manufacturers are like, oh, you're too small scale, don't want to work with you, don't have, minimum.
Enough, right?
Correct.
They have minimums.
Exactly.
Sure.
And then I worked with a lot of them after a lot of them turned me away. So I worked with some. And then that's when I started to experience like the challenges of the supply chain. I'm like, okay, well, it's taking too long to manufacture. It's expensive. The quality is not there. Like there are so many different aspects that got in my way of creating. And I was like, okay, well, hold on. Is it me? Am I the drama? Like, who else is experiencing this? Because this can't be when we're just focusing on the jewelry industry. Sure. That's like $330 billion industry. I don't know. There's not one single person that I know that hasn't bought a piece of jewelry for themselves or for a loved one. Jewelry and adornment is such an important part of our culture and society.
Sure.
I was like, well, how is it that like the process for actually making these products are so difficult? And so that's when I went to others and I'm like, is it me? Like, am I the drama? Because this is not right. I'm not understanding. It's not computing. And so when I actually learned, they were like, no, it's not you. That's just how it is. I was like, okay, well, no, I think that's just how it is was like my, like,
pet peeve of mine.
that was a pet peeve. It was like, that was the fire I needed to be like, oh no, like, let me work on changing that. And so I became obsessed with this idea of like going back. Like I remember that very first moment in that basement of like going from idea to physical product. And I'm like, how is it that if you think about the ideas economy, how is it that this like $1 trillion ideas economy is like, that's just how it is. Like it's hard to turn ideas into reality. How is it that this is the way that it is? And then how can I change it?
And accept it.
And accept it as so. And so I went on my path of like, oh, well, let me dig deeper into that. So I started to ask a lot of questions from different creators and different brands, and they all were saying the same thing. And I got to the bottom of it. I was like, okay, we need this all-in-one platform to design, produce, and to fulfill. And then to like build off of these ideas so that creators can focus on what they do best, which is to create, which is to ideate, and allow for like the automations and like the systems and the methods to like fuel them, and help expound and expand on what they're able to do as creators.
It almost sounds like, well, one, it sounds like throughout all of this, you were keeping your side jobs and still, like you said, back to the basement, like still that that kind of studio where everything and the magic was happening. It's like you're running things in parallel while you're building yourself. And so it brings me actually to a particular thought that I always think about for a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of leaders is it almost sounds like there's like this A to Z moment. Like you came up with an idea, you made a button, and now you have this full-scale AI platform, making jewelry, working with creators. You have supply chain. Like I'm getting the Cliff Notes here, but it sounds like you got this down very quickly. I don't want to assume, but it usually is not the case.
Yeah.
Usually there are some stumbles and failures, moments of giving up, question, doubt. Did anything like that ever come up for you?
Oh, all the time. All the
Not
time.
that I'm trying to trigger or strike any chords right now, right?
All the time. I think that's one of the things about when you are on this like path to building something that's never existed before. So that is the hard thing. To do something that has never been done before is hard. And that's when it comes to like creating the platform itself. But also like when you think about like you said something that really like just stood out to me, where it's like I'm creating self in parallel to creating like this business or this platform, or at least that's how I heard it.
Yeah.
And I think that those two things are like linked. Like that is a part of the journey. And that's why I'm like, man, I love it. Like I love like even the obstacles. I'm like, okay, how can I turn this? How can I rewrite this into something that's a positive as opposed to something that's going to like hold me back or stop me or get in my way?
But why didn't it stop you? Because it definitely stops many people. It's definitely stopped me. I mean, I've come up with so many ideas. I'm like, this is going to fail. Or in my free time, I'm an artist. I paint things. And I'm like, I can't show this. This is terrible. Yeah. Or the colors didn't land the way they wanted. Or I visioned it one way and it came out another way. And so I'm like, I give up. How do you rise past that?
I think perspective.
Yeah.
I think that there's many stops.
Yeah.
Right? If you look at even my journey, I was like, I stopped working on my brand, right? To focus. But that also, I believe that was a part of the journey. And so people, a lot of the times, I think most folks think of like moments of pause as like something that's not a part of the purpose or not a part of what they should be doing. Right. Like not a part of the journey.
So giving up is part of the journey.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, like we're not giving up on, at least for me, I'm like, I'm not giving up on the total thing. Right. But there are things that like you edit, right? You refine. You focus on things that like this is me editing. This is me refining. And so I do think that that's a normal part of the process, like shedding.
Yeah.
And so shedding, I think, is okay. But also I think now there's different conversations. So there's the editing, the refining, the shedding, the that part of the business, of the experience. Yes. But then there's the ultimate quit, right? There's this like, I'm done, I'm throwing in a towel, I surrender. But there's this idea that I love of like, that it's like, I read about it and it was about burning the boats, is what they call it. And for me, the idea is essentially, it's like you go into war. I'm paraphrasing the story, so I might mess it up. But there's this I think army, call it an army. They're going to war, and they're going to the place that they need to go to fight. And when they get there, they were instructed to burn the boats. And the only way to get to the other side, to get home, is to go through. And so, because what they saw is like, okay, if we burn the boats, there's no turning back. Right. And so I go back to this idea of like, I burned my boats. Like there is no like going back. There's going through. And there might be a moment of pause. There might be a moment of shedding. It might be a moment of editing and refining. But there is no going back. Right. Like that
we
burnt. Yeah, we burnt them boats a long time ago.
Yeah, and it's. I'm just putting together a lot of things that you're saying here. It's this refining of personality. You realize you want to become something or step into something, but maybe there's some aspects of yourself that you'd have to shed, or in order to step into the version of yourself that's a leader, a CEO, a founder, a producer, whatever it is, you might have to let go some preconceived notions, some old thinking, some beliefs of the past. That part shed. That's what I think I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, I was asked a question recently. Like, I think the question was, have you ever, or when was the last time you thought about quitting? And I'm like, quitting this? Never.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of quitting that I have thought about, which was like, who do I need to quit being to get to where I need to be, to get to where I want to be, to get to where I believe is my highest version of self. It's not quitting the thing, but it's like, what habit do I need to quit? What person do I need to quit? Like, what sort of experience do I need to quit to make room for others? But I think when it comes to like giving up, this idea of giving up, I think a lot of the time, I start with self first.
Yes.
And having that sense of awareness where it's like, who do I need to be? But also there's that like that refinement of like, what do I need to let go of to make room for my highest version of myself?
Did you find that there were moments of in this shedding and kind of refining yourself that you had to unlearn some things? Like maybe you were like so clear, like this is the way I need to go. This is who I am. This is the skills I need. And then you're kind of like, I don't know if I need that so much, right? Kind of like an overdeveloped skill, so to speak. Did you ever find that there were moments of like maybe the learning itself served you to a point, but now it's becoming a little bit of a crutch or an impediment, like, and you had to kind of unlearn a little bit? Because I think about this in the grand scheme of it is all of it can be playful because you're trying to figure out something. It's like this puzzle, but the puzzle is us. Does that make sense? Does that line well?
It does. It definitely makes sense. I think that for me, I have had to unlearn a lot, you know? But I think that's also a part of that, like the part of the journey. And then I ultimately think that like when it comes to I think it's also like important to not put so much pressure onto that experience, and give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
I think that for me has been important. It's like, okay, this is a part of the process. But also it's like a lot of the times, like I look at like my journey in life kind of like a video game, right? Where it's like, level 1, I beat the monster. We got him down. We figured it out, right? That's level 1.
I played video games growing up.
Yeah, but then so on the first level, it's like you learn the combo. You learn the trick that's needed to get to the next level, right? Now I'm on level 2, and now the monster is bigger. It's badder. It's faster, and I have that learning of the first combo, and I have that with me. I know it's in my toolkit, but then like, you also need to learn what's next, what's relevant for this level, for this part of obstacle or however you want to define it. But like you learn something new. At that level, you need to learn something new, apply what you learned before, yes, but is it going to get you to the next level? And so for me, I'm like, okay, well, there's a lot of like learnings, but I'm also open-minded to the fact that like, I've never been in this place before, right? Like, in this new level, if we're going to stick with that, in this new level, like I earned my place here. But to get to the next level, I need to learn something new.
Yeah.
And then accomplish or achieve whatever it is that I'm set to achieve on this next level, call it level 2. And then we just repeat that over again. But I think that for me, I think that has allowed for me to like be open-minded in the learnings that I'm receiving, so that I can apply it to this next level of being.
Yeah.
And you can apply that to that same, you can apply that same thing to like business.
Yes.
Right? Like we went from X amount of revenue or X amount of employees to this amount. You can apply this to like your person, like yourself. Right? Like I've accomplished this level of being. I want to be this level. And you think about the things that you're unlearning and the things that you're learning. And a lot of it is mindset for me.
You know, this reminds me, so I'm a total geek for old school kung fu karate movies from the 80s. And there's this movie, it's called The 36 Chambers of Shaolin. And essentially it shines a light on, Shaolin monks and how they train. And each of the chambers, each of the different levels, they're gaining different skills. So over here, they're learning how to use a staff. Then they learn how to use a nunchuck. Then they learn how to use their body. Then they learn how to use their feet. But each new level is testing the use of skills and then how you weave those skills together, because you don't learn those at the previous levels. So even though you're ready, you could still fail. And you could still go back down, but what you have to do is figure out a way to kind of weave your skills together. And then you do that again and again and again over time. So as I hear you talking, I'm like, oh my God, this reminds me of the 36 Chambers of Shaolin. This is very cool.
Yes, 100%. I feel like also too, like there is a group of people where it's like they overeducate. And don't apply. So if you could imagine where it's like, I'm learning all these skills, but I'm never playing the game.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, well now I have all these skills. And so I think there's a balance that we have to find and achieve. I think that there is like, there 100% there's that balance of like, okay, I've learned these things, these skills. Now I'm going to apply them so that I can refine them, so that I can grow them, and so that I can weave them together.
Yeah. What gets you out of bed in the morning? Like, I mean, there's so many great things that you've shared. You're talking about this ideas that are like the most powerful things. You're grounded in spirituality. You're grounded in your family's upbringing, the creativity around you, regardless of the environment. You have this amazing business model. I can only imagine it could get tiring or frustrating, and you still probably have to move through some of those motions of doubts and questions and moving forward and changing manufacturers and all the things that come with it, right? What keeps you going? What's your why?
So doing something that has never been done before is hard. It is tiring. It's a lot of like long hours. And when you were talking about the A to Z, it's like a collapsing. When you hear the story, when you hear about like how we got here, it's like it feels like it's a collapsing. But it is hard. It is challenging. And it's the thing that that is the very thing that gets me out of the bed in the morning. I'm like running to work. It's a problem. Where I was like, okay, girl, maybe you should rest. So like my close people are always reminding me to take rest, because I am like on this mission to give people the power of creation, to allow for them to self-express, to allow for them, to enable them to self-express, to be that conduit for creation. Because I think that I truly believe that that is one of the most important things known to humanity, is our ability to have an idea and to make it real. I think that makes us really special. We're the only species that we know of on this planet that can have an idea and to make it real.
Right.
And like create those things. And to me, it's incredibly magical. I think it's also like great business to be able to monetize and turn that idea into reality. So I want to help creators like build legacy and wealth and freedom from like with their ideas. And so that's one of the things that it's like the ultimate sense of purpose. So if we were to package that up, to put it plainly, purpose is what gets me out of the bed. It has me running to work even when it is challenging, even when it is hard, and when I am tired. I'm like, okay, let's caffeinate, let's get it, get. But also, it's finding that balance too of like, balance is sometimes can feel like a myth. Where it's like, what is balance? But it's hard work, and that I think it's just when you're aligned with that purpose, like that's all you see is like purpose. It's like all the other stuff, the obstacles, being tired, the whatever it is. That's a part of the journey. And I think people have it confused sometimes where it's like, oh, it's supposed to be easy, and it's supposed to be. And a lot of the times there are things that are naturally like in flow. Right? When you're in the spirit, that's inspiration. You're in the spirit of something. So when you're in the spirit of, it feels easy. It feels like it's super aligned with you as a person in whatever moment that you're in. And so like there's moments like that, but there's also moments of heart. There's moments of heart and purpose when you are passionate and you're purpose driven and it's purposeful. I don't think that there's much like true purpose. I don't think there's much that can kind of make you want to stay in the bed unless you truly need to rest, which
Yeah.
sleep is important.
I have to sleep.
You gotta sleep.
I find that, I got this visual as you were talking, like there's this North Star that we're looking towards. And, I think about like, how do you get to that North Star, or how do you get to where that North Star might be guiding you? And so you're following that and you're going on the path, and you might trip, you might stumble, the surface might change, the weather might change, all the things around you might change, but that guiding principle, that vision, that bright light that is shining does not. It is a complete, utter constant. The things around you are not constant, but that bright shining light is one that's guiding you. And as I hear you talk, it's like, you know what? Regardless of the things that are going on around me, as long as my why is clear, as long as my purpose is clear, as long as I know who I am now and I'm open to that changing in the future, I'm going right there. Does that land for you?
It does. Yes. And we'll just keep pressing through. I think that when it comes to obstacles, or like there's this book that I love called Obstacle is the Way.
Yes.
The Obstacle is the Way.
Yes.
And in that is really in that book, we're really talking about how do you turn that obstacle into an opportunity? And the obstacle, honestly, for me, that has become a mantra where it's okay, something is not going right. How can I shift my perspective and to see it as something that is here to benefit me? Because I believe that that's really all you need is a shift in perspective in a lot of the situations to make it into an opportunity. I'm not saying be delusional.
Right.
I think although being delulu sometimes helps.
Yes.
You sometimes gotta be tapped into reality, and understanding the situation for what it really is, and then look at it from a different vantage point of okay, how can I turn this challenge, this thing I've identified this as hard, it could stop me, it could get in the way, it could do whatever it is, but how do I flip it and see it as something else? And sometimes, a lot of the time, people are not looking hard enough, they're not looking close enough at what it really, whatever that obstacle is there for. I don't believe that things happen to you. I believe that things happen for you, or at least for me. And so if I believe that to be true, because a lot of times I shift in. I'm in and out, it's ebb and a flow. And I'm okay, wait, hold on. If I believe that this is not happening to me, but for me, who do I need to be? How do I need to think? How do I need to look at this situation? And it's really a practice.
Yes. It's interesting as you're talking, I'm always getting clarity on other things. And so you shared who do I need to be? Is it happening to me, or is it happening for me? We might have, and I'm weaving together all that you've shared, which is really beautiful. You have this idea, you bring it to fruition, but then other things start to happen around you or affecting your circumstance because the idea is here. And it's almost as if the idea itself is shaping who you are, right? And it's sort of, you have this push and pull relationship, this symbiotic relationship with this object or thing that you've created, that it's okay, well, if you want me to be this, I need you to be this. And then you're also saying, well, I need you to be this. And this thing is well, I need you to be this. So it's one informing the other. It's in order to be, you want to be the CEO of a business? Okay, well, I need you to be all these things, do all these things, step into this world. It's almost as if the world is kind of teaching you what you need to be.
Correct.
And then oftentimes, just again, leaning back to what you shared, I think people feel that and say, no, this is not correct. But in actuality, you called this button into existence. And so I need to make you into that version you need to be in order to carry this button forward.
I love this conversation so much because I think a lot of people want to go from A to Z, and they want to get to Z, but they don't want to be the person that they need to be at Z. Right? So I tell myself, I'm I want to be the CEO of an incredible company. I want to build $1 billion company that's helping creators turn their ideas into reality. Well, then I ask myself, well, who do I need to be that, to achieve that? And a lot of people, when I think about that, it's okay, well, when you see that, you see the disconnect, the gap. This is not who I am today. I got to be that. I got to do that. I got to wake up at what time? I got to give up these sort of things. I have to, have these boundaries and have this type of discipline. So a lot of people, I think that is why a lot of folks give up.
Right.
So going back to your earlier question about giving up, I don't think it's the thing that they're giving up on. It's the version of themselves that they have to be to get that. And a lot of the times people are like, this is too hard.
Yes.
Not the work, but like the person that I have to be.
That I have to step into. That's so hard. And I get it. Look. And a lot of the times, like for me, I'm like, I'm pushing myself. And I'm also like, you got to have that self-awareness. It's like, okay, I'm not her today. Or I am her. I am, and I always I have my own mantra that I'm already the charisma that I strive to become. And so if you believe that to be true, it's like, oh no, I woke up and when I'm running out of bed, that's what a CEO of $1 billion company is going to do, right? Because we got responsibilities, we got teams, we got all of those things. But also it's like, I think for me, it's like, who do I need to be? But also understanding that in order to really achieve that, you got to embody it. So the steps that I'm going to take today are going to be the steps that version that I want to be would take. So I ask myself, it's like, what would the higher version of myself be? It doesn't necessarily need to be CEO of $1 billion, but like the next version, the highest version of self. Who do I need to be? What action do I need to take now? So if you're ever like, for me, I'm like, if I'm ever like, looking to make a decision and I'm caught in between which decision to make. Yes.
I try to embody my highest version of myself. I'm like, if I was already the person that I was striving to become, what would she do? And I would do that. And then I become more of that person, right? And then I become more of her. And then ultimately I become her. And I think that's the hard part. That's the ugly part. Right. That it gets wild. When you are being the person that you're striving to become, it's pretty gnarly. Like it's hard to adapt and to shift and to change and to grow. There are the growing pains, and for me, I'm like, how do I get more of that? How do I keep growing and keep evolving?
Which brings me to hobbies, actually. So. I always find hobbies, especially if you have like a day job or you have something you're already committed to, maybe you have another business already, it gives you an opportunity to explore something that you are interested in. Maybe there's a version of yourself that you'd like to step into. Also, you're like, maybe you don't want to spend all your time doing it, or you spend a portion, however you define that portion of time that you'd like to spend doing that thing. How important are hobbies to you? Like, what's your viewpoint? Do you even have time for hobbies? How do you think hobbies can or should play a role in people's lives?
For me, I think it's a unique situation because I love what I do. Like, I turned my hobby into a business.
The dream.
Right? Like, I was just kind of reflecting, and I was like, wow, I'm living 14-year-old's Karissma's dream. I am her dream girl, and I'm doing the things that she always wanted to do. So I made my life around this, like doing what I love. And so it can feel like it's not work. Right. And so for me, I'm like, I get to do the thing. Yes. And someone had asked me, like, do you have hobbies? And I was like, oh my God, I don't have hobbies. I was like,
the guilt hits you. Like, I should have a hobby.
I was clutching my pearls. I was like, I don't have hobbies. What is wrong with me? And then I realized, I'm like, okay, I do have hobbies. I'm it's just the things that I like to do. But my life is so, it's so full of the things that I love doing. Like, I was like, I don't have something that I do on the side to fill me up. But that being said, in addition to the work that I do every day, like, I am reading a lot. And so I love to read. I love to write. I still am writing stories. I think, again, in my life, I'm like literally life scripting. So
a dial back to third grade.
Going all the way back from then. And, I'm doing that. I did pick up a hobby. And so I'm teaching myself how to be a little bit of a DJ. I just love music. And I think also beyond like creating physical products. I just love creating things. And so I first started creating, I made a song. I wrote a song for, initially it was for a series with Gildform. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't want to go through this process of like figuring out licensing for music. And I was like, I'll just make a song. And the fact that I did that, I was like, oh, okay. So I wrote a song. It's actually it's a bop. It's a pretty good song.
Okay.
Like, I like this song. I'm like, I don't want it to be, a cheesy, like.
But you made it for you.
And so I was like, okay, I can listen to this. And it's very, I think, it's on brand for where we are as a company now. Yes. And so it was like, can I do that? So I think those are a part of like my hobbies and extensions of self is like more like creating different things. Yeah. The unexpected things like creating music or DJing or teaching myself how to DJ. And that, for me, that's just for fun. Like, I don't share that. Well, the song I did because you can stream it on streaming platforms and stuff. But like on the DJing piece, I literally just do it as like an unwind at home, like for real, a bedroom DJ, like where I'm like sitting in my bed and I'm like, okay, I'm unwinding. This is, what do I want to listen to? What sort of vibe do I want to be in? And honestly, it's literally just for me. And then I would say like creating other different types of products. So I've been really into, and for a while now, since I had my brand, really into like creating fragrances. So I would do that just for fun, like in addition to like the writing or reading or like playing around with music. I'm also playing around with olfactory. And so I think there's a mix of play of like the different senses. Right. It's like, what can I create so that I can feel, or what can I create that I can hear or listen to or smell? And so I really just like to like dabble into different things and making different things.
I think it's really important to underscore what you're saying here. You're doing a lot of this for fun. And regardless if they become huge elements of your company or you just made a fragrance because you want to smell good in the morning or when you go out for yourself, it's really powerful because there are so many major corporations, multinational corporations that exist today, some that are publicly traded, that started because the CEO and entrepreneur is like, I'm just having fun in my garage, or I didn't really know what I was doing, or I was experimenting with this thing before it became this other thing. And so I hear that it's really important to have fun and play in that space of figuring out what you like, that tension between the two, and then sort of let it evolve there. That to me sounds like a beautiful hobby.
Yeah.
What's next for you? There's so many things you have touched. Fragrances, buttons. Gildform is really creating this space for future entrepreneurs, future creators. You're a writer, you're an artist, you read so much, you have so much impact in the world even today. Is there a next? Are you doing next? Are you living next? How do you think about the future?
Honestly, I think I am creating the future through the present moment. And so what's next for me, honestly, I think it's just more of that, and more edits and more refinements. I think when I think of Gildform, we're excited to continue to support creators in the ways that they need, from the small startup companies to the large enterprise companies, to really give the power of creation to them. And be that conduit to help them turn their ideas into reality faster, better, more efficient than ever before, more effective. And so I want to do more of that. We're going to continue on that mission in ways that are, I think, in alignment with what we learn. And continue to grow from there.
Karissma, you have so many great insights, some that I'm taking, and I think our audience, our listeners will definitely glean so many insights just from your path and your journey and our conversation, which I'm super honored to have been able to engage in this way to share with you. So powerful what you share, and you're just a really beautiful light and person in this world and in Detroit and currently in New York, I just would love to just continue seeing you shine that light, which is really powerful. Is there a particular is there advice that you'd like to leave for the audience today? I mean, we have so many things, but what's one piece of advice or guidance that you'd like to leave with everyone?
That you are the creator of your world and your reality. You can do anything that you put your mind to with resilience, with fortitude, with the understanding that essentially like you can write that script and live the life that you want to live through creating it for yourself and understanding that, who do you need to be to get to where you want to go and asking yourself that question and holding yourself accountable to that. And never giving up.
I love that. Okay, rapid fire. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Audiobooks or physical books?
That's hard. Oh, that's hard. I love them both. I love physical books.
Okay. Yeah. Singing or dancing?
Oh, neither.
You just said you wrote a song.
I didn't sing the song.
Oh, okay.
See, that was very specific. That was very specific. I think singing because I'm just terrible at dancing. So.
Okay, here we go. Provocative. AI power or human power?
Ooh, human.
I love that. Tomorrow or now?
Now.
I just wanted to say with that. Karissma, you have been a joy and just a wonderful conversation to have today. Thank you so much. I learned a lot. I know the audience will learn a lot, and I appreciate you bringing your spirit, your energy, your passion for life and existence, your brand, and I appreciate you coming down to hang with us today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.